Hello, amazing investors. I wanted to jump on here quickly and share a few thoughts. And usually when I do these lives, I'm either going through it or I hear something from my clients that I'm working with. And this theme is coming up in my life, and I'm hearing from a lot of other people too. If you're a leader in your personal life and your professional life, you need to hear this, because if you're not doing this, you will struggle in your relationships, in your business partnerships, in your collaborations, and your family, in your home, with your friends and family in general. You need to understand this as a leader. And if you're taking care of anybody in your life, you're a leader. If you're serving anybody and contributing to anybody's life, you're a leader. Even if you don't feel like you are at a high level, you're still a leader. You're still leading yourself. So consider this. And human life is filled with relationships. Without relationships, without our team, we cannot do anything. Whether that's our home team at home in our personal life or our business team. But you can call it all a home team. You're building relationships, and those relationships are helping you build the life that you want. You're building relationships in business, and those relationships are helping you build the business that you want. When you get that, you will get very focused as a leader and understand how to do this. So the key thing here is most leaders do not know how to own their problems, how to own their challenges. They don't know how to apologize. And I'll start with myself. Now, I struggled with this for years in my personal life, with my relationship with my wife, where I didn't know how to apologize. I mean, I knew I should have apologized, owned my mistakes in my relationship, but I couldn't do it. I had an ego block. I felt smaller if I owned up to it. Now, it sounds like something very common sense, but trust me, people don't do it. I work with people every day. They won't own up to their own part of the problem in their relationship, which already implies, which tells you that whenever you're in a relationship, it's never a one-sided thing. It takes two people to move a relationship forward, or at least two people. In a family, it takes multiple people to move the relationship forward. Everybody has an impact and influence on each other. And as a leader, you're going to make mistakes. So as an assumption, baseline is that you're going to make mistakes, you're going to screw up, you're going to do stupid shit. That you're a human being. And if you haven't recognized that yet, you need to reassess. A second assumption is that whenever something goes wrong, or whenever there's a challenge or struggle or something has gone wrong in the relationship, and it's never one person. It's not just you, or it's not just another person. So whenever you're in an argument, struggle, you're going through a challenge with a team member, with your wife, husband, with a business partner, assume that there are two sides to this, and assume that you have a part in it, even if you don't see it yet. You can ask yourself, how am I making this worse? What is my part here? What can I do differently? A lot of people will also be like, well, no, that person needs to apologize first. That person needs to own it first. Great, that's true. It's not just you, but you need to own your part first before you expect somebody else to do that. And that's a hard thing to do. There are times where you're going to sit down and your body will not let you. Your mind will not let you. You're going to have to use a lot of willpower. You're going to have to use a lot of intention. You're going to have to check in with your values and what your life is about, what kind of leader you're going to be for you to do that. So if you cannot own your part in your relationships, and this goes to everything, people go through struggles in their personal life and professional life. You might have gone through breakups, and you might have had a failed marriage or multiple failed marriages, or maybe just relationships that haven't worked out. You might have had bad business partnerships. Own your part. And I'll tell you, I've only been married once, and I'm still married, happily married, despite the struggles, despite the challenges, and that comes with marriages. In fact, the people around you are very beautiful mirror that shows you what are the things you need to own and face in your life, because they will throw it in your face one way or another. And a lot of leaders will take that as a negative response feedback, which comes down to this idea of feedback. It's not just about apologizing or owning what you do. It's actually also being proactive as a leader. What does that mean? That means that as a leader, you're always seeking feedback from those around you. You're understanding, what are you doing that's impacting people positively or negatively in your life? This doesn't mean that you should constantly orient yourself based on what other people think or feel. It just means understand the effect that you're having on other people, whether those are your kids, your wife, husband, your family in general, your team, your business partners, your collaborators, your colleagues. What kind of effect are you having? You can do that simply by asking people, by literally sending a bunch of questions so they can respond to it, or just in a conversation. It's harder to do this in a conversation. You can literally, one of my coaches actually literally didn't give me much of a choice. She got me to send a survey of 3 or 4 questions, to send it out to all my family members, colleagues, partners, everybody, and just ask them what they think of me, what they feel around me, what is the effect of some of the things that I do, what kind of feedback would they give me for me to improve certain things in the way that I show up with them, what would make them feel, like things like that. And I was shocked and in tears when I listened to that or watched that or read that. And I still read that once in a while. I go back to it and I try to find out how I show up with people, and it's a hard thing to do. There are times it's very hard for me too, but it gives you feedback. I'm proactive and I'm open to feedback from the people around me, which means that you need to be open to your vulnerability, that you are not going to be great all the time. In fact, you're going to be a shitty leader at times. You're going to be a shitty person at times, and that's okay. You will make mistakes as a human being. That's being a human. That's how you grow, by seeing what we do wrong most of the time. A lot of times, sometimes we grow through insights, but a lot of times we grow because we make a mistake, we struggle in something, and we learn from that struggle if we're open to it. Not everybody will learn, but if you're open to it, you will. So being proactive in your ability to get feedback. And also, when people are giving you feedback, and this is a very difficult thing for a lot of leaders, most of us get defensive. And I understand that some people might not communicate that in a proper way, and you can correct that. But regardless of the way they communicate, be open to feedback. Be curious as to why they're giving you feedback, whether it's harsh or otherwise. Don't jump into the defensive part. Again, caveat is this is a very hard thing to do because I get defensive at times myself. But if you can set up an intention to be curious and understand why does somebody think something about you? Why do they feel negative around you? Why did something you do go towards a decision you made, or a directive you did, or a support you had for a team member went towards a negative direction? Or why wasn't that helpful to somebody around you? Whether it's the way that you communicate with your team members or colleagues, or with your wife or your husband or with your kids, why is it being perceived as negative? I guarantee you there's a part that you have in there. I'm not saying all of it is you, but that will give you data and feedback to improve and learn. And a lot of it falls into certain buckets and categories. How you communicate. Are you curious enough, and are you listening to the other side's perspective and where they're coming from? Is there empathy as a leader you have? Are you proactive and curious to understand what they care about, what their ambitions are, those around you, their visions are, their dreams are, where they need support, whether it's your employee or a team member or your wife or husband or your kids? Are you proactive in that process? If you're not, more than likely you have a lot of gaps in knowledge and information that doesn't allow you to show up as a better leader with them. So consider these things and start with, again, I want to summarize this. Start with owning your part, whether you need to apologize for it, own it, take responsibility for your part in any relationship. Even if you felt like you were more right than wrong, own it. Own the part that's in. Every time you own it, you become vulnerable. The other side is more inclined to do the same thing because you're modeling the process. When you apologize, the other side will too. Think about your relationships where you have apologized or somebody else has apologized. It softens your heart. You know that this person is humble enough to do that. And the second piece of it is become proactive in seeking feedback. Understand how you're affecting other people around it and gather data around that. It will help you understand where to focus on to grow as a leader. And be okay with any kind of feedback that you receive. If somebody gives you feedback, harsh or otherwise, you can communicate. Don't be harsh with you, but just say that, you know what, thank you, that helps me as a leader. What else? Why do you feel like this thing that I do affects you negatively? What do you think I can do to improve? Seek this feedback. It will help you. Again, the caveat is hard to do for most people, but you will become a better leader when you do this. Some of the best leaders around the world, they're like this. If you study, go seek any leader that inspires you, study them, you'll find that at least they strive to do these things. If they're not, nobody's perfect in this process, but they strive to do it. So hopefully this helps you. Share your thoughts about how Do you feel like this is important to own up to to own your responsibility in relationships, to apologize, to actively seek feedback from other people around you as a leader so you can become better? Are these important? Do you have a different approach? Please share that below. I'd love to hear from you. We can all learn from each other. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Please share with somebody that needs to hear this, an investor, an entrepreneur around you, a friend, a colleague, a business partner. Please share it with them. This might actually get them to wake up. It might actually save them their marriage, save them their business partnership, save them a lot of time and hurt and struggle. Until my next conversation, hope you have an incredible day. Take care. Bye.